Great. So I think, yeah, that's very good. Very good, Mark. Great. Great to have you back. Great. So hello, everyone, wherever you are and whenever you are. This is Mo from Educast International. And today we have another wonderful webinar of our event in Ramadan, which is called Elevate Your Teaching Practice 2023. So yesterday we had two wonderful webinars by Louise Westman, who joined us from the Portugal, and she was talking about active listening skills for young learners. And we also had a wonderful teacher trainer from Arizona State University, who is Alisa Nostis. And they were, the webinars were wonderful. So I'd like all of you, if you missed them, to go to our YouTube channel. There you can find all the recordings of our previous webinars, including them. So today I'm joining you from Egypt, and today we have a wonderful guest from Egypt too, but he's joining us from another country. I think you're currently in Saudi Arabia, right, Dr. Mohammed? You're muted. You're muted. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, yes.
Yeah, that's very good. So I'm joining you from Egypt. Dr. Mohammed is joining us from Saudi Arabia, and we are joined by Mark Miet from the Netherlands. Hello, Mark. Are you there?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hi, Mo. How's it going?
Everything is
Hi,
good.
Mark.
What about you?
Great, thanks. Again, good evening to everybody from Amsterdam here in the Netherlands. This is Mark Myatt from Syntax Solutions, your teaching CPD specialist based right here in the Netherlands. Today, we'd like to give you a warm welcome to our webinar and also to our guest, Muhammad. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Take a look at our website when you get a chance, where you can find useful teaching resources as well as information regarding our online teacher training workshops. You can find the link there in the chat. And keep your eyes on this site, because we have some free lesson plans that will be posted soon, written by none other than Dr. Ron Marine. And thanks again for your time, and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for that. So guys, let me take this chance to tell you that our sponsors for this event are Text Inspector, Delta Bookstore, Syntax Solutions, and Fluent Ties. Yeah, that's right. So, of course, we were supposed to be having Dr. Ryan with us as usual, but he isn't available today. And he also joins us from Germany, right? Yeah, great. So today we have a wonderful guest, but before telling you about him, let me introduce you to Educast. Let me tell you about what we do, what Educast is, and our upcoming webinars. So Educast is an international organization that provides teachers with professional development opportunities to help them deepen and strengthen their knowledge and get exposed to different expertise from the same or different teaching contexts. Our vision is to make education affordable and obtainable for people from all backgrounds. Our effort is to always bring forward the latest methodologies of teaching for every teacher. We want to ensure that they are equipped with the knowledge of established as well as up-and-coming techniques of teaching. The goal is to make the educator proficient and globally viable. So guys, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic in ELT. It's about creativity and innovation in ELT. And today we have a wonderful guest who is Dr. Mohammed Rushdie, a teacher trainer and the expert in education. And he is joining us from Saudi Arabia, in particular from Riyadh. So hello, Dr. Mohammed, how are you doing?
Thank you very much for this nice introduction. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad and Mark. I really appreciate it. So let's hit it.
Yeah, great. So once you're ready to share your screen, please do it.
Sure, I will. But before sharing my screen, can I just dedicate the first part of this talk to be a little bit interactive? Like, let me ask you a simple question. What is creativity? What's your concept about creativity? Can you share your ideas in the chat box, please?
Yeah, okay. So everyone, please type your answers in the chat box. What is creativity and what is innovation? What do you think of these two words? Could you please share your ideas in the chat box?
Okay. Thinking outside the box, out of the box, thinking out of the box. Okay. Okay. Coming up with brand new ideas. Use your knowledge and experience to come up with something new, originality. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much for your valuable contributions. And now let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, sure. You can see it.
Perfect. Um, Actually, creativity, as you have mentioned, these are different concepts and approaches to creativity. But in order to define creativity in one word, actually, it is openness. Creativity is to be open to new ideas, to open to new concepts, revolutionary concepts and ideas and approaches. So this is creativity. And let me tell you that the word outside of the box was sharply criticized by leaders of creativity in the world. Like they thought instead of telling our students to think out of the box, maybe it's a better option to ask them to think what the box could be something else. If it is not the box, what could it be? So we will come to this point in details with my presentation. So let's jump right in. Uh, Creativity was categorized into four categories: big C, pro C, little c, and mini c. I'm not going through details of these classifications, but I will just give you a very simple idea of what each category means. Big C creativity is for those who change the world. Like, for example, Einstein, when he changed the world by inventing the relativity theory, and people who makes and create great inventions that change the face of the world. So this is the big C. The pro C, it means if you are talented in something when you're young and you develop this over a period of time, this is pro C creativity. So it is a kind of a talent again, but it is developed over a period of time. Scientists say it's no less than 10 years. This is pro C. Little c and mini c, actually, this is our focus today. Because this is more related to our students in schools and universities and any academic bodies and institutions. So what do we mean by little c and mini c? This creativity actually is mastered by being flexible, open, intelligent, this risk taker to investigate different concepts and ideas. Okay. Being innovative and creative is dependent on the other attributes. Being creative actually requires reflection, encourages engagement, and develops confidence and responsibility. This brings me actually to my next question to you. Do you think creativity and innovation is something talent, you're born with it, or it's a skill? Is it a talent or a skill? Can you share your ideas in the chat box, please? Creativity is what? A talent or a skill? Both. Both can be fostered, both, and it's a mix of both. Okay. Thank you for your valuable contribution. Actually, it is a skill. In the early 20th century, it was defined as a talent. So if you are talented, and it was, you know what, it was associated with art. So if you are talented in arts, you are creative. But in the late century, actually, these were defined as a new science were added, like science and technology and other disciplines. So it was first thought it is only art, but later on other disciplines were added, like technology and other, but still they believed it's a kind of talent. But when they started to think and believe really it is a kind of skill with the early 21st century, they thought, no, creativity is increasingly viewed as a distributed and collaborative process of communal sense making and problem solving. If you are good at problem solving, if you are good at risk taking and asking questions and other skills we are going to highlight in this session, then you are creative. So you don't have to wait for something from God or a talent. No, it is a skill that you can develop over a period of time. Okay. One characteristic of the creative process is what? Actually, that the balance between knowledge and no knowledge. Let me clarify this because this is very important in the concept of creativity. Look at this sentence. Creativity represents a balance between knowledge and freeing yourself of that knowledge. What does that mean? I have a knowledge that was cascaded to me from my parents, from the teachers, from everyone. If I want to be creative, I have to question this knowledge. So I accept the knowledge, okay, thank you. But at the same time, to a certain extent, I free myself of that knowledge to question it, because maybe I can add to it, maybe I can alter it, I can turn it upside down. And don't forget that Einstein turned all physics upside down when he said that time is a fourth dimension that can be added to the other three dimensions. That means that we can move forward and backward through time. That was revolutionary. And you remember Galileo when he said that the earth is not flat, the earth is round. And that was revolutionary. So accepting the knowledge is something good, but there must be a balance. And this is how we should plant this in our students, that they should investigate, question whatever knowledge they have. Now, a creative learner needs to be able to develop and apply a set of skills that they can use in the creative process. This includes being able to, so a creative person or a creative mentality is able to, number one, clarify, analyze, and redefine the problem. So what I'm going to give you some practical solutions that you can utilize in classroom. Why not you give your students a problem and you ask them to redefine the problem. For example, traffic in Cairo is horrible. So can you tell me, if I'm a teacher in a classroom, I can approach the problem from a creative point of view. Okay, traffic is bad, traffic is problem. Everybody doesn't like traffic and to be stuck on the roads and so on. Fine, that's fine. But let's redefine the problem. Let's find a positive side of that. So maybe like everyone is thinking this way, and you redirect your students or learners to think from a different perspective. This is very important. So maybe a good positive point of being stuck in the road is to think about something, to write something, to do something useful, to call one of your relatives or your parents. So that's beautiful. Nothing is bad 100%. Okay, this is number one. Number two, ask thoughtful questions. And this brings to my mind actually the story of one of the scholars who won a Nobel Prize. And they asked him, how did you get to reach that level of winning a Nobel Prize? You know, even to be a candidate for a Nobel Prize is a big honor. So how about winning it? So they expected him to say that I studied hard, I worked hard, a teamwork, and so on. But he said something very strange. Can I trigger your thinking in the chat box, please, and tell me, what did he say? What made him win a Nobel Prize? What helped him to win Nobel Prize? Waiting for your valuable ideas and thoughts. Mr. Ahmed Awad, I will answer this question, but could you please keep it till the end of the session? Now, my question to you is, yeah, I think he said something about failing very often. Maybe, but this is not my knowledge about the matter actually. What do you think? What helped him to be a winner, a Nobel winner? Discipline. Okay, you know what? He said that his mother was the reason. Being different, okay? Yes, of course, it's being different, Mr. Muhammad, but how and what made him feel different? Actually, that was his mother. His mother used to instruct and direct and guide him to ask questions. So she said, like, after he comes back from school, what the question you asked your teachers today? And he was like, I didn't ask questions. He said, no, you should. Next day, and she didn't tell him what to ask. She didn't give him the ready-made questions. No, she left it to him. And he started to develop this talent or this skill of questioning. So ask fruitful questions that helped him win a Nobel Prize at the end of the day. This is number two. Number three, notice connections between seemingly unrelated subject matter. Why don't you give your students a sheet of squares, triangles, and circles, and ask them to relate these shapes together to make meaningful objects? Like, for example, maybe the triangles with circles with squares can make a horse. So ask them, give them unrelated objects and ask them to relate them. Ask them to work together to relate them. This encourages creativity, whether in or outside classroom. Okay, ask them, can you see my desk? As a teacher, you have a desk in your classroom or in your office. This is my desk. Yes, this is your desk, teacher. Okay, what this desk could be? Something else. Maybe it could be a boat. Maybe you get ideas of it is maybe it is a television. Maybe it is a table for something. So you get different ideas, and needless to say that you should, as a teacher, as a guide, as a leader, you should entertain all ideas and concepts, even if they seemed very silly. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that all great inventions started with an idea that sounded very silly. Can I put you in a funny situation? Imagine that Shakespeare is writing his great play Hamlet, and he's thinking about the complex, and he's reaching the complex, and he wants to get down to the resolution. And he's asking how I'm going to finish this, I'm going to sort this out. And then you interrupted this all of a sudden. I told him, Mr. Shakespeare, by the way, I want to tell you something very pleasant. You know, after a few hundred years, some people will blow an air in a continent, and people in another continent will hear this whispering. He will say that is silly. Actually, I wish I could have more time to complete my Hamlet. But now it is a reality, and we have a phone and the cell phone. So encourage this to your students. Don't think even, I know that you are not going to say it's silly. I know that. We are teachers, we are professionals, but even don't think inside yourself that it's a silly idea. It might be a brilliant idea, but sounds silly. And it happens, by the way, okay? Let's move on to the next point. A creative person is able to challenge established wisdom by asking, how would I improve this? So always give a problem, give something incomplete to your students and ask them to improve this. Like, for example, the example I give you about traffic in Egypt or traffic in Cairo. This is a big problem, but there is a good side. That's fine. Now let's talk about the problem. Let's get back to the problem again. How can we improve the problem? Give me ideas, work together, assign roles to every group. This is the idea collector, and this is the one going to the note taker, and the one will be the group representative, the class, and so on. So what are your ideas? How can we improve this? And so on. And ask them to create problems to their peers or to other groups, and the other groups come up with solutions to improve this. This is how you can make your class interactive, energetic, different, creative. Students are thinking all the time. You don't leave them to boredom. They are excited. They are thinking. They are not intimidated because you are not there. You are behind because they are working together. They are finding solutions. So you are giving even chances to shy students to think, critical thinking, and this will come with us later in the presentation. And the next point is recognize alternative possibilities. Always encourage them to think otherwise. What else? How can we improve this? Can you give me another option? Next point, look at things from different perspectives. Everybody looks this way, but why don't you look that way? Maybe the solution can come up from that way. Okay? Creating a culture of creativity in classrooms and schools is very important. How can we do this? Number one, value and celebrate learners' creative and innovative contributions. As we said, you praise, you thank, you appreciate, and you encourage your students that we are not looking for the results. For example, if I'm giving you a problem to sort it out, I am not going to investigate the solution. I will appreciate your attempt to solve it. Make it clear to them. We are not looking for the outcome, but we are looking for the process itself. Don't overcrowd the curriculum. And here I want to stop with a very important idea about the curriculum. Yes, we should be revolutionary. Yes, we should be creative. Yes, we need to be innovative and so on. But at the same time, I understand that you are teachers are tied to a certain curriculum at schools. You need to stick to the curriculum, to the pacing schedule. You have to fulfill this. So how can we strike the balance between being creative and at the same time following the syllabi or following the textbook? Again, your valuable ideas in the chat box, please. Yes, waiting your ideas. Yes, Mr. Ahmed. Yes. Mr. Ahmed is saying that in order to keep this diamond creativity, we have to note our ideas and solutions down. Absolutely agree. Putting ourselves in the learner's shoes. Excellent. Yes, I would agree to this. Very good. Thank you. All right. But my question actually about the curriculum. How can we strike the balance between being creative, innovative, revolutionary, thinking out of the box, as you said, and at the same time abiding by the pacing schedule and teaching the textbook? Any ideas? Okay, let me say yes. All right. Areas of interest for us, for students. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Amir. That's a very good idea. I had a meeting with the senior academic manager a few days ago, and that issue was raised. We want to be creative. You are giving us, as a department, you are giving us the pacing schedule to follow by letter. You know what he said? He said, no, Muhammad, you don't have to follow the pacing schedule or the syllabi by letter. You can teach, and mark this sentence because it's brilliant. He said, you can teach the whole book without teaching the book. You can teach the whole book without teaching the book. That means that the book has certain learning objectives and outcomes. So you take this in mind and you create your own materials. It doesn't have to be the book. For example, if students are encouraged to differentiate between past simple and present perfect in English, okay, but the piece of reading in the textbook is boring. It's about geography or global warming or something they are completely uninterested in. What is the solution? No problem. Have another piece of reading from a website, use another supplementary material, and make sure that this material actually entertains this learning outcome or the objective, which is highlighting the difference between past simple present perfect. So you don't have to. So this is a simple solution for the dilemma of following the curriculum and being tied to it. Encourage a broad and balanced curriculum. That means actually that when you teach the curriculum, there are 5 units, for example, and there are common points and common topics or subtopics among the units. So make sure that you always refer back to them and you connect them, because these encourage your students to connect, to relate, and to reflect. Again, if you have different topics, if you have different ideas, that's fine. But for example, in unit 1, you had something about technology. And in unit 3, there was something else about technology, and the same in unit 5. So you have to make this kind of link between the 3 topics or subtopics in order to encourage your students to link, reflect, analyze, and do these creative processes. Okay? Risk-taking. And I like this word, I like it a lot. Risk-taking. Like what? For example, teachers trying something new in their lessons. Let me tell you that when I was in Cairo University, Mr. Muhammad, I used to teach in Cairo University, the Center for Foreign Languages and Professional Translation, that was on top roof of the building. So there were the halls of teaching, or the classrooms were in a partition, and outside there was a big, large cafeteria outside on the roof. So you know what? I used to take my students at the second half of the lecture. I would enjoy coffee or tea and talk about anything they like. That didn't happen every day, of course, but it was a kind of habit. I developed this habit, and actually my administration was understanding, and then they encouraged me. So this is a risk taking. I will take you out now, guys. Where? I'll take you to the cafeteria. Why? To talk. Talk about what? Whatever. Just talk, but in English, of course. And you are there to guide. Maybe you keep silent and let them speak, and you just there to monitor and explain and guide when needed. So that's really gives your students a sense of innovation and creativity. This encourages creativity, actually. Another thing that I did when I taught students in hotels and hospitality field, I took them to the hotel. I said to my manager, Mr. Muhammad, my students actually will end up working in a hotel, right? Why on earth we should keep them in classrooms all the time? He said, okay, what do you suggest? I said, let's go to a hotel. To see successful people, and these successful leaders or people can convey and can tell our students their stories so that they can benefit and get inspired. So thinking outside the box, taking the risk, do something new, but at the same time, you have to follow the rules of your school or university or whatever institution you are working for. Try to negotiate this. If you cannot do something revolutionary like going out in a cafeteria or going to a hotel or a workplace, maybe you can do this in classroom. So still you can manage and you can do it. Okay. Common misconceptions about creativity. As any other concept, we have some misconceptions about creativity. Creative teachers, how can teachers help learners to develop their creative habits and skills? We agree now that creativity is a skill that we can develop in our students. So how can we do this? It's very hard for a teacher to be creative if they are following a prescribed curriculum and given little or no room for creation, innovation, and so on. And we talked about this point, and we offered a solution. Teachers can support creativity and innovation by doing what? Number 1, role modeling creative habits. You do it yourself. Yesterday, I had the post-observation meeting with my line manager, and we were discussing this point, actually. When you instruct your students to do something, don't always give them instructions and checking instructions. You have to role model the habit of creativity. For example, if you are giving them unrelated objects and you want them to relate them, you have to role model it yourself. So maybe you can give the first shape, like a horse, like a desk, a watermelon, TV, whatever. So you do it yourself and you model, you rule, model the whole thing, because this gives your students confidence and they can follow you. Number two, appreciate the critical importance of questions. If you don't ask questions, you are in trouble. Always put this into your students' heads. You have to ask questions and make them feel that there's something wrong if they didn't ask questions. They have to ask questions every now and then. Okay? Treating mistakes as learning opportunities. And again, I always tell my students, please make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, I'm not happy. Because my students in Saudi Arabia here, and I think in Egypt and maybe in some parts of the world, they are too shy to make mistakes. Once they make a mistake, they are shy, they are afraid of others to look at them, to laugh at them. But how do I sort this out? By two things. Number one, I make it clear from day one that laughing at your peer or colleague is not allowed by any means. We respect each other, even if there is a mistake or even there is something that is far from being true. This is number one. Number two, when I find a mistake, I don't correct it immediately. When we speak to native speakers, when you speak to British or American people, do they correct you once you make a mistake? No. They nod and they encourage you to speak as if you have made you made no mistake. So actually, this is very important to do with your students. It will take time. Yes, it will take time. It is not a piece of cake. It's a hard process, but is it worth it? It is worth it. It is worth it to encourage this point into your students. Treating mistakes as so this is how to deal with mistakes. Number four, giving learners sufficient time to complete their work. Don't rush your students. Give them proper time. Number five, scaffold. Scaffold means support according to the context, according to the level, according to what you have in hand. If they are here and you want them there, then why don't you support? But don't give full support, because giving full support will make your students lazy. But try to give the push, but don't drive the car. Okay, don't drive the car for them, but try just to give the push whenever needed. Right? Using questions will trigger creative thinking, and Socrates actually made it clear, and they named it Socratic questioning. Socratic questioning means that you have to investigate and question everything. Away from our beliefs and religions, you can question anything and everything. And again, remember Galileo, Einstein, and others. Right? People thought completely this way, but they said, Salaam alaikum, there's another way. Let's look at it. And they changed the whole world, okay? And like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and all these people, right? Encouraging learners to ask questions can do what? Can do magic, actually. Like what? Develop their curiosity about the subject. When I ask you to ask questions, you need to know more about this. Will trigger your curiosity and stimulate learners to think hard about the topic. And when you think hard, you will produce something new. Consolidate learners' understanding of the material. Yes. Encouraging learners to ask questions also can enable them to look at a topic from different perspectives. This is very important. Clarify a goal or plan for their own investigations and inspire them to want to find out the answer. So you give the problem, here's the problem, how can we work out the answer together? How can we solve it together? This is crucial. The next point is how to assess innovation and creativity. Okay, you told us how to encourage creativity. What is creativity? What are the misconceptions about creativity? But now, how can you assess that your students, your learners, even yourself, being creative or not? How to assess innovation and creativity? Can I get your answers in the chat box, please? How can we do this? How can we assess innovation and creativity? What do you think? Be Socratic, yes. Thank you, Mark. Okay. How can we assess? How can we evaluate if we are um, creative or not? Okay, we are assessing how well our students have thought around a problem, not necessarily how well the solution work. We don't pay attention to the solution, but the most important thing is the process of thinking itself. This is how to assess the way you are approaching this idea. Now, another thing is the self-assessment. Let your students assess themselves by themselves as a kind of reflection. And this is an important sheet here. It's called KWL. So the KWL chart, K is for knowledge. What do I know about this? Like, for example, I'm going to tell you about Tesla motor cars. So what do you know about Tesla? This is K. And then in the middle column, then what do I want to know about Tesla? This is W, want. And L, what I have learned about Tesla cars at the end of the unit. So you can give this, when you can give this sheet, you can give it, you can use it in the beginning or at the end of the unit or the course, okay? Why it is useful, this kind of sheets? It is useful for setting objectives and reflecting. We are going to talk about Tesla motor cars, and now I know what you know. What do you want to know? And at the end, you will tell me, you will tell me what have you learned. So you are reflecting and you are self-assessing yourself. Number two, critical thinking. Critical thinking is a milestone for actually creative thinking. How can we encourage critical thinking? As I told you, by letting students think all the time. Like, let me give you an example. If you are displaying this picture for your students, the traditional and boring question is what? Describe the picture. Describe the picture. What can you see in the picture? If you ask this question, I'm sorry to tell you that this is not creative. This is not innovative. So in the chat box, give me your creative questions. If you are to use this picture with your students in classroom, what are the questions you might ask? Where are they? Yes. What do they discuss? Very good. Maha, Ahmed, yes, where are they? Thank you. What else? Try to think of different questions, because different questions will trigger different way of thinking, will trigger critical thinking, and will end up in creativity and innovation, by the way. What are X and Y talking about? What is their relationship? Yes. Thank you very much. Very good. Why do they stand? Yes. Why are they standing? Have you noticed that? Why they are standing? Okay. Excellent. So these are kinds of untraditional questions that will trigger their intelligence and they make them think in a different way. My question for my students will be, who is not in the picture that can see them and observe their performance? Maybe their manager, maybe the other people that we cannot see in the picture, and what is the relationship between them. So we are trying to create ideas and relationships and thinking really untraditionally. So this is one way of looking at it. Okay. The next point of encouraging creativity and innovation is to encourage the sense of achievement. Please make your students feel that they have done something, they achieved something. How to do this? There are two ways. The first way is to set time for your activity. For example, don't give your students the task and leave them like this. No, but you say, you have 5 minutes to think together about the solution to this problem. So you give them specific time. So when they finish within the time given to them, they feel the sense of achievement. The other point is, or the other way of encouraging your students to feel this kind of sense of achievement is to put number to your instructions. Put a number or numbers to your instructions. Like, for example, think of solutions to the problem. What do you think of this instruction? It's too broad, isn't it? But instead, you can say what? Please think of 3 or more reasons of why Cairo is very crowded and the traffic is very bad. Think of 3 reasons or more. So once they hit the target, they feel this sense of achievement, and it's very good for them. How about the brains for your students? Train their brains. Don't let them think or forget. Try to encourage and to try to strengthen their memories, actually. I will put this picture here. Let me make it bigger. And look at this picture here. I will put it for 10 seconds and then remove it. So I will ask you questions about the picture. So 10 seconds. Is it 10 seconds? 5 seconds? Okay. Can I ask you how many cars were in the picture? How many cars? Just put the number in the chat box, please. 8, maybe 6. Okay. Look at this. When you are doing this to your students, yeah, thank you very much. Now, tell me, how do you feel? You feel that you are thinking all the time, and this is your target with your students. Don't let them bored. Just let them think all the time. I think they were 8. I don't care about the number, but I care about you thinking like this. Okay, so this is one way of looking at it. Yeah, these are the cars. We can count them later. Show your instructions upside down. Look at this. Every teacher will say his instructions in a proper way, in an easy way. But imagine that you shock your students with this. Okay, guys, these are your instructions. Please read them. What are they going to do? They are going to do like this, right? And they are going to do like this. So they are going to revolute actually against the norm that they are reading straightforward. No, we are going to do something different. And teenagers actually like this way of approaching materials. It makes them engaged and interested. And once engagement and interest happen, learning takes place. All right. Also using puzzles as a homework. You can instruct them to do whatever puzzle they like. And this, again, will encourage them to think and be more creative. How about solving problems? They don't have to come up with the solution. Let me give you a problem and let's think together of the solution. You know this bird? This is a crow. This crow is, as you know, is a very intelligent creature. What is the problem we have? We have a crow, this bird, and I want my students, I want you, my dear guests, to think of 3 or more ways the crow can eat the nut. How can the crow eat the nut? Please share your ideas and solutions in the chat box. He cannot eat it in the normal way. So he needs to do something very intelligent. So think of solutions, please, in the chat box. How can the crow sort out this problem and eat the nut? How? Maybe throw it from a large distance. Very good. Fantastic. That's a brilliant idea. What else? There's no one way. There are different solutions. Remember that. And remember that you don't have to come with a fancy solutions, but come with something. This is the most important thing. What else? Yeah. Fly high, let it fall on the ground. Fantastic. Very good. What else? Can I help you? And this is the scaffolding I'm going to give you today. Look at this. Look at this picture. Does this help you? In the chat box now, what can you add to your ideas? I think you have some things not processed. Maybe this picture can process it. Using the peak to smash it. But unfortunately, the peak is not so hard to do that. Okay, the traffic light. How can the traffic light help? Waiting your ideas. Put it on the way when red. cars could smash the nuts. Okay, very good. Yes, you came up with a solution. But have you noticed what I said with people who came up with different solutions? What did I say? I said, no, 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 it's wrong. No, no, no. How come? How can you say that? How can you say that? No, I said, fantastic, brilliant, very good. Encouraging and praising is very important in this regard. So this is a solution. Now I offer the solution to you. And as you said, the bird is very smart. When it is red, he puts it and the cars smash it for that, for him or for it. Last point for for encouraging creativity is collaboration. We are not alone, we work together. So in order to encourage creativity, make sure that your students work together. How? Think, pair, and share. Again, think, pair, and share. Again, with this problem, they don't have to think alone. Think together. Two minds better than one. Okay. And this is also another activity that they can do, that they look at a certain topic from 4 different perspectives, and they write their thoughts about the same topic. So you have the sheet like this, and they turn it around if it is time for them to add their thoughts. So this is a useful practice as well. All right. Peer teaching. I love this. Please encourage your students to peer teach each other, even if they are lower levels, no problem. They still can do it. How? One easy way to do this is to put the definitions of certain vocab on the walls of your class, and they have the word, and they go around and you get, for example, can you see the first card here? You have how many words here? You have 2 words, sensible and cheerful. So, Hamad, go around and find the definitions for sensible and cheerful. And when you come back to your desk, please explain the definition you have found to your peer. Peer teaching is a fantastic way of creating ideas, encouraging creativity, and sorting out problems, because maybe you have mixed ability class. You have early finishes, people who finish very early and they sit doing nothing. So maybe you can utilize this by peer teaching their colleagues. I'm running because I know it's time to set time for questions, but the other point is peer feedback. Like this sheet, they can give feedback to each other. What do they think? What do you think? It is only me. It's not only me, guys, who can speak. No, you can speak as well. It's not only me who can give valuable input. You can give valuable input as well. All right. By this, we come to a conclusion of our session. Mr. Muhammad, back to you. If any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the wonderful presentation. I really benefited from it a lot. But Dr. Muhammad, in terms of talking about creativity and innovation in ELT, there might be some barriers, in order to make this happen. So I noted this down, some of the barriers. We have
Yes.
psychological barriers, we have institutional, physical, cultural, and
Yes.
instructional barriers. But the most common one here is the cultural one, because most of the institutions or most of the teachers will encounter, resistance and misunderstanding from their colleagues, from their students, from the management, just like what happens in private schools, for example, or maybe public schools in particular. When a teacher wants to do something new, everyone is just against him, right? Him or
Mm.
her, for sure.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, so how can teachers deal with that? How can teachers overcome this, the cultural barrier?
Yes. All right. Let me tell. Yes. Thank you for this valuable question. Actually, but I have 2 solutions for this. The first thing is to negotiate, because we can always talk. It is not something holy that we cannot touch. No, we can talk and negotiate. So you can start offering practical solutions. Like, for example, don't go to a public school and tell them, I will let my students absent tomorrow and we'll go to the garden or to the cafeteria. This is not practical. But maybe you suggest something practical Maybe it is not 100% what you want, Mr. Muhammad, but still it's something creative, something new. Like, for example, visiting students across classes. I did that with public schools and it was really good. For example, I teach in class A and you teach in class B. Why don't we visit each other? Your students visit my class and my students visit yours. I think the public school will feel nothing bad about this, especially if they are well convinced and you have solid reasons for that. All right. This is on the institutional level, but on the teacher level, the teacher doesn't give up at all. If the school is confined and they are restricting you, you still can do whatever you want in your class. If you cannot go outside of the class, no problem. But you can send your students outside of the class. You can send your students outside of the class. By doing what? By giving them creative ideas and problems to sort out and think upon. So I cannot take you to the garden, but think of this problem. We cannot go to the garden. This is a problem. How can we convince our school managers to help us doing this? So you give them the problem and they give you the solutions. And this is your homework. So you are breaking the tradition of the homework is something I memorize, I write, I recite. It's boring. No, the homework is to sort out this problem, to come up with different solutions. So again, Mr. Muhammad, quickly 2 solutions. Number 1, to negotiate and to provide practical solutions, not fancy ones. Number 2 is to be ready with what you have in hand. If you have limited, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do
that's very
magic with
good.
little things. Still, you can do magic with little things.
Yeah, sure. And actually, you offered another solution for the psychological barrier. You talked about the confidence and
Yeah,
the motivation. You said
yeah,
that teachers cannot lose their interest, cannot lose their confidence, cannot lose their willingness, to enhance their students'
yes.
levels. Uh, they can't just lose their faith. That's what I say. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's right. Thanks a lot, Dr. Muhammad, for your valuable
Most welcome,
presentation.
Habibi. Thank you very much.
So guys, if you have any other questions, could you please drop them in the chat box?
We are encouraging you to question Socratic questions. Yeah. So if
Yeah,
you
critical
don't a
questions.
question, it means I failed in this session actually. Artist, thanks. Okay, thank you, Moira. Okay. Okay, having no questions means 2 options, one of 2 options, whether everything is clear or everything is not clear. So what
Yeah,
might be?
I think everything is clear so far.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
people were engaged, they were typing things and ideas in the chat box. So yes, everything is clear, and I'm pretty sure about that. Thanks a lot, Dr. Muhammad, for your valuable time
Thank you,
and your
Mr.
wonderful
Mohammed.
presentation, wonderful tips. And of course, I'm asking people to keep developing themselves, keep working on themselves. Yes, creativity is good. It's a good thing, but try to be realistic. You don't have
Yes.
everything in your hands, wherever you are, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So thanks a lot again, Dr. Muhammad. So guys, let me drop something in the chat box here. And it's a gift from our sponsors, Text Inspector. This gift is a 1 month free trial for their tool, Text Inspector. It's a very good and beneficial tool for linguists, for teachers, teacher trainers. So please go there, click on this link or copy and paste it. Go to your browsers, go to this website, register for a free account, and they will give you a 1 month free trial. So thanks a lot, everyone, for being with us today. And see you tomorrow in another webinar with Miss Imena Defrawi. She will be talking about how young learners learn and ways to engage them. So I think the topic isn't that different from today's one. It's about innovation. It's about engaging learners. So we're definitely looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Thanks a lot, Dr. Muhammad, and I hope that it won't be the
Thank
last
you.
time we see you with us here. Thank you, and
Thank you.
see you tomorrow.